All right, you guys, I know we're ready to incorporate some of those angle pairs that we talked about in the PowerPoint. Okay, so using this picture of all these lovely angles, we will be identifying all of our adjacent angles, complementary angles, supplementary angles, and vertical angles in the picture. Okay, so we're going to start with adjacent angles, which there's actually more than 10, but I think if we list 10 of them, it'll be sufficient. All right, and when I list them, you guys, I'm going to trace them on this paper so I can show you which ones are the adjacent angles without marking on the picture a bunch of times since we have to use the picture a bunch. But anyway, so what are adjacent angles? What do you remember from the PowerPoint? Well, they're angles that are right next to each other. So two angles that are side by side. Adjacent means to be next to. Okay, they must share a vertex point. So the vertex of the two angles must be the same. And the two angles have to share a side. Usually it's that middle one. If the two angles are together, it's that middle side that they share. And the important thing about adjacent angles is they cannot share any interior points. So if you shade inside each angle, the insides can't overlap in their shading, basically. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is, I'm just going to start with an angle and start naming each angle that's kind of next to it. Let's start with there. Okay, so I'm going to start with angle J and K, or K and J, however you want to name it. So remember, when we name angles, we start with a point on one of the rays. It does not matter. Then you immediately shift to the vertex point, and then you immediately shift to a point on the other ray. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of how you name it. And remember, we use this neat little symbol to name an angle. So I'm going to start with angle K and J. And I'm going to find the angle that's right next to it and does not share any common interior points. Okay, so K and J is right here. K and J. All right, there's angle K and J. And the angle that's right next to it that doesn't share any common interior point is this angle kind of right here. Okay, so angle J N O. See how these are right next to each other, and if I shade inside of my angles, they do not overlap. So this angle right here does not overlap with this angle right here. Okay, so these two do not overlap when I shade on the inside. Yay, so I found two adjacent angles. So we have angle K and J and O. Or you can name this O and J, whatever floats your boat. Okay, so the second one is J and O or O and J, whatever you want to do. I'm going to call it O and J. Why not? All right, for my next two adjacent angles, I'm going to start with the angle I left off on, so angle O and J. And what is an angle that's adjacent to that one? All right, so this time we're going to start with angle. I'm going to ignore this for now. I'm going to start with angle O and J, or J and O, whatever you want to call it. And I need to list an angle that's right next to it that's not overlapping it. So that's going to be angle O and M, right here. This angle right here. So this angle is adjacent to that one. So O and M, those two are adjacent. Holy hot dog, right? All right, now I'm going to start with angle O and M and list the angle that's right next to it. So I'm kind of working my way around the picture. So angle O and M, what is adjacent to that one? All right, so I'm going to trace angle O and M, ignore these two down here. So O and M. Okay, the angle that's right next to it that does not share any interior points is M and L. So that would be angle M to the N to the L right here. So these two are also adjacent. Yay! So M and L. So angle M to the N to the L. Or you can call it L and M, whatever floats your boat. All right, and again, I'm going to start with the angle I left off on, which was M and L. So angle M and L is adjacent to angle, let's see what's right next to this angle. Okay, so I'm going to start with angle, again, ignore these three other pictures. All right, so I'm going to start with angle M and L. And the one that's right next to it that shares a common vertex and doesn't share any common interior points is this one right here. So angle L and K. Pretty cool, right? So angle L and K. All right, and then finally, I'm going to start with angle L and K and list the one that's right next to it. Which I think this one's full, so I'm going to go to a different sheet. Alright, so angle LNK is right here. L to the N to the K. The angle right next to this angle is the little guy that we started with, KNJ. So it's right next to angle KNJ. They are right next to each other, they share a vertex point, and they don't overlap. So angle, sorry guys, demon cats are getting me. Angle K and J, or J and K, whatever you want to write. Alright, so those are our first 5 adjacent angles, and now we're going to list 5 others. So this picture is really confusing because technically there's a lot of adjacent angles, because if we start doing larger angles that have angles within them, it kind of gets confusing. Now, if you want to try to list these on your own, I highly encourage that you try it on your own. You might get different ones from me because I'm only listing 10 of them. There's a lot of them, but I highly recommend that you try it on your own. So let's see here. This time, I'm going to pick an angle that has a few angles inside of it. I'm going to pick angle ONK, so this angle right here. So I'm only focusing on O and K right now. So I need to pick an angle that is beside this angle that is not overlapping it, okay? Which the first one I see that's beside it is this one right here. Okay, so I'm going to pick angle O and M. Also, the other angle that's adjacent to this one is K and L right here. Okay, so I'm going to list them separately. So angle O and K is adjacent to angle O and M because it's right beside it and it's not intersecting any interior points. And also, this angle is adjacent to this one. So I'm going to knock 2 out of the park. Why not, right? So I'm going to list angle K and O this time. I'm going to list it twice. And that is adjacent to O and M right here. And it was also adjacent to K and L. Okay, if you guys notice, remember, adjacent angles have to have the same vertex points. And if you look here, the vertex point is always in the middle. And if you see, all their middle points are the same. And these all happen to have the same vertex point. But that's not how it will always be, so be careful. And be careful, you guys. Although K and O is adjacent to O and M, that does not mean O and M is adjacent to K and L. And that says K and L. I know it's a little sloppy. K and L. Alright, K and L. That's what that says. Alright. Okay, but O and M is not adjacent to K and L because they're not right next to each other. They're kind of across from each other, but